As I'm sure most of you guys probably know, over the weekend we had the No Kings protest. I hope everybody was able to have some fun. Hope everybody was able to stay safe out there. And it really looks like to me that this was a wildly successful event. We had millions upon millions of people who were showing up all across the country to register their discontent with this authoritarian administration. And with very few exceptions, it looks like everything went off without a hitch. So I am just very impressed by the organizers behind the protests, and I'm also very surprised by just how many people were able to mobilize. And I think my most favorite thing is that at the very same time in Washington, D.C., Donald Trump was throwing his own military parade to make himself feel like a big, bad, tough guy. All the while, the American people showed up to say, hey, we do not do kings in the United States of America. So let's go ahead and take a look at these protests from across the country. I'm going to go ahead and start off with this video. I'm going to play it at 4x speed just so we can make it through it. But this kind of gives you an idea of the crowd sizes we're dealing with in cities all across the country. So if you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe. It's just absolutely amazing. I mean, whether you're in a red state, whether you're in a blue state, people were showing up because they just do not like the asshole who is currently in the White House. And I think in New York alone, there was over 200,000 people, even people in deep red Kentucky, deep red Idaho. We're talking about thousands upon thousands of people who are showing up because they just do not like what they see going down in their country right now. And I think overall, I saw estimates anywhere from 5 million to 12.1 million people who showed up on this No Kings protest. So it just kind of shows the stark contrast between the two visions for this country right now. On the one hand, you've got Donald Trump and his MAGA base. They want to do this authoritarian and fascist takeover of the United States. And on the other hand, you have people who are showing up for democracy. They're dancing in the streets. They're building community. And I'm just wildly impressed by how many people showed up for our country. And I want to go ahead and move on to this clip. Here's an 18-year-old from Atlanta. I think she is newly enrolled in college, and she was able to point out just what is wrong with the military parade that was going on at the exact same time as these No Kings protests.
What do you think about the president? I know currently in D.C. he's having a birthday party sort of parade. What do you think about that as you guys are protesting here and in other cities across the country?
I can remember in 2016 all the propaganda that was put out on North Korea and how they had a show for Kim Jong-un's birthday and all the rockets that they displayed and the nuclear weapons. And the West took that as an insult and kind of a threat. Well, I see absolutely no difference in what's happening in D.C. right now. It's an absolute waste of tax dollars in any kind of way that you can put it. It's a threat. It's a threat to the American people that says if you step out of line, we will destroy you. We will take everything you love away. And I'm not going to stand for that. This is America, and you are nothing without the American people. And I want you to know that.
Yeah, she's exactly right. What Donald Trump did with this whole military parade, he tries to say that it's for the 250th anniversary of our army, but everybody knows this was about Donald Trump making Donald Trump feel good. This was an ego stroke for Donald Trump. This was a way for him to make himself feel like a big, bad, tough guy. And this is what authoritarians do. They roll out all the military gear, they roll out all the guns, because they want the citizenry to know that if you step out of line, there will be consequences. And that is exactly what we are seeing in Washington, D.C. on the very same day. And it's just absolutely pathetic. This is not how we conduct ourselves in the United States. We don't celebrate our president like that. We don't celebrate a king. We don't celebrate an authoritarian. We show up for the Constitution. We show up for the American people. And she's exactly right when she says that America is nothing without the American people. And Donald Trump trying this authoritarian takeover, I hope, is going to be quelled as much as possible, because this is just not how things are supposed to be happening in the United States of America. Let's go ahead and move on to this clip where you had a whole group of people dressed up as handmaids from The Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, I just love to see it. And I'm sure you're going to have a whole bunch of right-wing lunatics out there. Oh, you guys are being hyperbolic. This isn't what's happening in the United States. No, this is what is happening in the United States. We are seeing women have their rights stripped away from a rabid right-wing party. I mean, the women of today have fewer rights than their mothers and their grandmothers had. And this is the United States of America, where we're supposed to be expanding rights for everybody in the country. And you got this MAGA faction, this fascist movement that has bubbled up in our country, and it's just trying to take rights away from everybody. It is absolutely disgusting, and it's un-American. Here's Jamie Raskin going on about how we do not have any kings in this country.
We've got no kings and we've got no slaves. We've got no masters and no serfs. Those of us who aspire and attain to public office are nothing but the servants of the people. And the moment that somebody in public office begins to act like the master of the people, that is the moment to evict, eject, reject, impeach, try, convict, and start all over again.
Yeah, he's exactly correct. Donald Trump has done so many impeachable offenses, like in his second term, like I just stopped counting. He is the most corrupt president that we've ever seen, and he's just operating in a manner like no other president has ever operated before. He's trying to reach his grimy little fingers into every aspect of everybody's lives, and like I said, he wants to be the king. He told us he was going to be dictator on day one. And now that he's got all the sycophants around him who aren't going to stand in his way and say, hey, this is not how things are supposed to work in America, we are seeing a degradation of rights and the fabric of our society. We've got the president of the United States rounding people up without any due process and shipping them out of the country. And then you got the MAGA lunatics who are cheering it on. It is absolutely grotesque. And I'm just so pleased that there were so many people that showed up to say, hey, this is not how things are supposed to be working in the United States. Here's Mark Ruffalo. He's talking about, he gave a speech in New York.
We built this country strictly on the no kings rule my country, my body, or my bank policy. That and the simple notion that you can't be arrested and tossed into a dungeon or a detention center or a concentration camp or some damn basement without a fair trial. We don't fuck with that.
Yeah, that's right. We don't fuck with that. That's not how things are supposed to work in the United States. But you have this Trump administration who is going around, who is lifting people off the streets, kidnapping them off the streets. Some American citizens have been sent out of the country. You got other people who might be undocumented or even here legally who have also been sent out of the country to a gulag down in El Salvador, all without any due process at all. I mean, tell me you're a fascist without telling me that you're a fascist. This is not how things are supposed to work in the United States. And I'm really glad that so many people showed up. And I think one of the big things that people were standing up for were our immigrant communities, whether they're documented or undocumented. It was one of the major things that people were talking about in these protests all across the country, especially after you have Donald Trump deploying National Guard and active duty military to the streets of LA. I'm just so happy that people are showing up for the values that this country was founded on. The immigrant communities, they are the lifeblood of our country. And to see them being treated so terribly, it's just an absolute travesty. It's just so gross. It's so un-American. There is no dignity. There is no respect given to these people by people in the MAGA movement. And it's just so gross. I'll go ahead and show you this two last clips here because I found this quite amusing. Obviously, when you've got these big, large protests, you also have counter protests. So you did have Proud Boys and other MAGA lunatics popping up all over the country. Some people were agitating. We're going to try to get to a video on that later. But here's some Proud Boys who are surrounded by the protesters, and then they start playing music, and then we will look at what happens next. I just absolutely love it. You're not getting violent. You're not getting ornery. You just surround the Proud Boys, and then you start off playing music. I mean, what a better way to send a message. You're not getting violent. You're staying peaceful. And, you know, if you're not here to protest against this or with the No Kings movement, if you're not going to protest against the authoritarian takeover that is currently underway, if you're not going to protest against all of the fascistic shit we are seeing in this country right now, then what are you doing here? I mean, the Proud Boys obviously are going to show up to events like this to cause problems. I'm not saying that's necessarily what this group of Proud Boys did, but we've seen it happen over and over and over again, and I really just like the method here and the tactic of surrounding them and starting to play music, and then this is what happens just a few seconds later. Okay, so maybe I take back my comment. Maybe there were a few people in the crowd who were being maybe a little bit ornery. I saw the middle finger getting flipped up or to the Proud Boys there, but I think that's okay. Nobody's getting in their face. Nobody's, throwing punches. Nobody's getting physical in any way. Instead, you just surround them peacefully, start playing music loudly, and eventually they might go. They're obviously outnumbered. There's obviously more people right here who are standing up for the values of the United States. And I just love to see that they were surrounded and then kind of just pushed out. They weren't necessarily forced to leave, but they got the message. And I'm just glad that they left without, trying to start a fight or anything like that. So those are just a few of the clips that I had from these protests over the weekends. Like I said, I think there was I've seen conservative estimates of 5 million. I've seen other organizations put it at like 12.1 million people. Whatever it is, it was a ton of people. Where I was at personally, we saw a doubling of crowd size back when we compare it to the protests that were going on in April. That was absolutely wonderful to see. And I'm just glad that there are so many Americans, even some Republicans are showing up to these protests, even moderates are showing up to these protests, and that is exactly what these protests are for. When you've got millions upon millions of people taking to the streets, there's no way to avoid it, right? It's going to make the news, people are going to be talking about it, and then that gives other people permission to start joining in on these types of movements. That's why it's so important that we remain peaceful in these types of protests. That's why it's so important that we don't, start shit with other groups or counter protesters. We stay peaceful, we stay on message, and, we bring more people into the fold. We hopefully can take some of this momentum into the 2026 midterms, into 2028, and, let's build a movement around the values that actually make this country great. The values of inclusion, the values of standing up for immigrants, the values of freedom. I mean, just simple and basic freedoms that are now being removed from groups of people by an authoritarian regime. So let's take some of this momentum and bring it into our electoral process. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against the right-wing media ecosystem that just launders all of this fascist nonsense for Donald Trump day in and day out. So if you do like what I do here, please remember to smash that subscribe button. Of course, that is free. And if you guys want to see how Josh Hawley got his head taken off, rhetorically or figuratively, in a congressional hearing by Kate Shaw, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.